Specialist online marketing research agency Columinate recently released its 4th annual Internet Banking SITEisfaction survey. The survey is a measure of customer satisfaction with online banking services in South Africa and the significant changes the banks are undergoing. The report focuses exclusively on Internet banking as a key feedback tool for the banks. Now, to discuss this, we are joined by Elna Smit, who is Marketing Director of Columinate. Thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you so much for having me, Colin.
Right. Internet banking has grown phenomenally and it has some benefits, but obviously some kind of dissatisfaction or hesitation from the users thereof. So what prompted the survey?
So we started doing this survey in 2012. And it was mainly prompted by wanting to know which bank gives the best experience. And if you remember a few years ago, a lot of people were mainly banked with one bank. It's before they all started a switching war. And we wanted to know which bank gives the best internet banking experience. So we started doing the survey to determine this. And through the years, this now being the 4th year we're doing the survey, we've expanded into other areas such as you've mentioned, fraud, concerns, these types of things to see how people experience internet banking.
So what has the trend been? What is it that you discovered regarding the experiences of customers so that they can have their wealth or their money secured?
In terms of the trend, it's been largely positive, I'm happy to report. So when we started doing the survey in 2012, overall it was an average picture. And we see the banks investing heavily in their digital strategies, their digital channels. So what we've seen is an upward trend in terms of customers or consumers being very satisfied with what the banks are offering. Obviously, some are doing it better than others. And, but overall, a very nice positive picture, and I think the banks work in these with these strategies and in these areas has seen some payoff.
Well, we've seen quite an evolution with regards to the way banking is done.
Yes.
Some people prefer the ordinary way of banking, like getting into the bank, withdrawing the cash and going to service their debts with it. But others want to do internet banking, but then it comes with the charges. Why are conservative banking models so expensive as compared to internet banking, which has its own charges as well, and the customers feel that sometimes they are heavily charged?
I am not, unfortunately, in the position to say why they are charging us so much, but what I can say and who I can speak for is consumers. And what we see is banks who are charging lower fees, such as the likes of Capitec. This really does translate, even for their online banking experience. People appreciate that. They really like the fact that it's a simple experience, it's a cheaper experience. So that translates into their online banking satisfaction as well. So Capitec traditionally seeing a very high SITEisfaction, as we call it, but of late we see that people are wanting more. So you want to get what you pay for, which is a comprehensive experience.
What about security concerns? Is it very rife that people have the propensity to be defrauded when they do internet banking? Because I've had many people say, "Ooh, I'm afraid to do internet banking because I don't want to lose my money. You know, the authorities may defraud me."
Yeah, and I think it's rightly so. So our survey looks specifically at internet banking fraud. And every year when we do the survey, we have to add in excess of 5 to 3 new scams that emerge. Our survey shows from 2012, there's been a spike of about 11% of people who have fallen victim to internet banking fraud. So at the moment it stands at 12%, which doesn't sound very high, but I think 12% of people who have been defrauded translate into a lot of money. So ideally, I think 1% is too much of online fraud.
How does it happen?
You know, it's a tough one for the banks and for the consumers, because I understand the banks obviously try their best, but on the consumer side, consumers also need to be more vigilant. So you've got your classic, what they call a 419 scam, which is traditionally this email you'll get from somebody maybe who's won some money. They want to, get you into it by maybe asking your details, so they win your trust. Then there are sophisticated scams which involve viruses on your computer, which attack your computer and steal your details. Sometimes it's as simple as you've shared your internet banking details with somebody else. So consumers also need to take a bit more care. A lot of people we see in the survey are still doing internet banking on public computers, and those are notoriously at risk.
So what do you think then can be done? Because, you know, the problem is responsibility. If I'm defrauded whilst genuinely using my internet services, when I do online banking and I'm defrauded, the bank doesn't want to take responsibility for that because they could accuse me that I was negligent. But then for people who are genuine on both sides, well, what is it that can be done to prevent this?
No, I think it's definitely a shared responsibility, but I think especially from the banks, they do need to take some responsibility, if not even just in educating consumers to look out for simple things, because, you know, these fraudsters are clever. They mimic sites, so you would perhaps click on a link and it will take you to a site that looks exactly like the internet banking site. So to have these markers and things in place and to ensure their customers know what to look out for, because I think often we joked when we released the results of this that when the banks communicate, it's only communicating about a problem, but perhaps a bit more proactive communication, education around how to stay safe online in order to ensure a shared responsibility.
But just very briefly, do you have future projections on how things may turn around?
For fraud?
Yeah.
At the moment, it is on the increase, so I'm hesitant to venture a guess, but I guess my hope, if hope can be a strategy or projection, is that it would go down.
I hope that you'll be on the lookout for a SARS refund that you don't know anything about.
Exactly, you see.
All right, thank you very much for talking to us.
Thank you so much, I appreciate it.
We're talking there to Elna Smit, who is CEO of Columinate, a specialist online marketing research agency, talking to us right here on PM News.